What's up guys, Brian here representing Overlay Network, bringing you guys a Metalfoes deck profile. Back at it again. And yeah, Ghost of the Past gave this deck core a lot of reprints which were needed. And then Blazing Vortex came through with Vanisher and then Azultros, I think, the new Fusion, along with Metalfoes Fusion, which is the new Fusion card, which is pretty good. I mean, it's a nice little addition to the deck and gives it a little bit more what can I say, ways of bringing out its fusion. There's the words I'm looking for. But yeah, I've seen a lot of takes. Some people throw the Despot and then a Crystron and a Rorodon package in there, the Halki-Fibrax package. And then some people throw in the Magician Souls package, which is probably the best one because it's very consistent and it's really good. I just kind of went with a Super Poly variant with a tech choice that I'll get into at the very end. It's a good tech choice in my opinion. And then Super Poly is just really good because it helps you break boards, and instead of running hand traps I decided to go with Super Poly instead because it can really break some boards sometimes. And then we have some great Super Poly targets on top of that. So yeah, let's get on into it, boys. I feel it's just necessary to start off with the vanilla pendulums. So we maximize all the vanillas. We run 3 Gold Driver, 3 Silver Red, 3 Volflame, and then 3 Steelin. So yeah, we maximize our scale 1s and then we maximize our scale 8s. Steelin, Silver Red, and Gold Driver are all searchable / accessible through Unexpected Die, Painful Decision, and Emergency Teleport, which got a reprint, which is much needed. And then yeah, pretty much all these guys are searchable through that. And then Volflame is not searchable through any of those. It's only through Summoner's Art, but it's not that bad honestly. And then we have some ways of bringing them out thanks to Counter and things of that nature. So yeah, we maximize those guys because it's just necessary to do it, because you want to see a combination of Metalfoes cards in your hand, at least 3. Rescue Rabbit counts as the 3rd one sometimes, but you want to see 3 Metalfoes in your hand to really be able to do some things. And then yeah, on top of that, but for this variant at least, if you don't have the Super Poly. And then we're gonna go into the effect ones. We're gonna start off with Bismugear, level 1, not a vanilla, she's an effect 1, level 1, scale 8. All the Metalfoes scale 1s and 8, at least for the most part, share the effect where the scale effect is once per turn you can target 1 face-up card you control, just face-up card you control. So if you were to get control of your opponent's monster thanks to Alka-Heist, which lets you attach a monster your opponent controls to it, you can attach it as an equip card, and then you can use you can target that same card you stole, same monster you stole from your opponent, to pop it with the scale to go ahead and set a Metalfoes spell and trap card from your deck. So some very interesting plays. I see a lot of people wanting to play this as a combo deck, which is good because it helps push more, build up more boards, more negates. But I feel like with this deck, at least how it is made right now, if you're going for a pure build, you have to try to go for a control aspect and really be patient and get familiar with it, and then really read the text of these cards, because a lot of these things are soft ones. They can be a lot of soft ones per turn once you know what you're doing with it. So yeah, that's the scale effect of all the Metalfoes. Now for Bismugear's monster effect is if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect. So if you were to pop it with your own scale, you could search out a Metalfoes monster from deck to hand. So any Metalfoes monster you need, Vanisher, Melcaster, Volflame, Steelin, Gold Driver, whatever it may be, you can search it out thanks to her. And then she's good because it's a hard one to return that effect, but you do want to get her. You do want to get that effect going sometimes. And then we're gonna go into the new ones. One of the new ones now. We're gonna go into Melcaster. Melcaster is really interesting. Level 7, which is really good. Now you can go into your Odd Eyes Absolute. Now you can go into your Odd Eyes Absolutes plays, which lets you go into Vortex a little bit more easily now because she is level 7, along with the new Fusion, who's also level 7. But she has the same effect once per turn. You can target 1 face-up card you control to set a Metalfoes spell and trap card from your deck onto the field. That's universal, it seems like, except for Vanisher and then some of the Fusion. That's pretty much universal. Her monster effect is if this card is destroyed by battle card effect, you can add 1 Metalfoes Pendulum monster from your extract to your hand, but you can't activate it or cards with that name or set it in the Pendulum Zone for the rest of the turn. It's set with card effects. So yeah, that doesn't really bother me too much. The restriction doesn't really bother me, but it can come up sometimes, but the fact that we can recur resources for fusion material or just for even sometimes just pitching for Super Poly is very good. So we do run her at 3. Her effect is good, so she's another one of the effect ones. And then lastly, for the Metalfoes, we're gonna go into Vanisher. Vanisher is really good. He's the level 9. You can't pendulum summon him, but he is a scale 1 who scale effect is if a monster you control is destroyed by a card effect, except during the damage step, you can add 1 Metalfoes card from your deck to your hand. So ideally you want to be setting up him in the scale with Azaltros, because Azaltros' scale effect is once per if a Metalfoes card you control is destroyed by a card effect, except during the damage step, you can target 1 face-up card on the field, destroy it. So yeah, if you're able to get these 2 in scales, you're going to be able to add resources and then pop cards. So it's just really crazy synergy these 2 have with each other that is very good to get established. If you're in a grind game and you're able to establish this, you're going to be pretty much outgrinding your opponent and able to do some very interesting sequences more than anything, because you're going to be pretty far ahead at that point. And on top of that, you're going to have good control of the game state. So some interesting things you can do with them, but yeah, that's the scale effect. The monster effect is if this card is in your hand, you can target up to 2 cards, including a Metalfoes card. So it could even be a Metalfoes combination. So really read the cards. It could be even combination. The interesting, it's called track card that gives you some advantage. It could even be that. So at least 1 other Metalfoes cards to special summon this card from your hand. And when this card is special summoned by a Metalfoes card, you can banish 1 card from your opponent's field or graveyard. So either or. So not bad. But setting him in the scale is probably one of the things you would try to do if you do open him up. But more often than not, you want to try to at least recur him back, summon him, and if he does get popped or destroyed or whatever, he goes to the extra monster, recur it back with Melcaster to try to set it into the scale, and then hopefully get Azaltros in the scale too, so you have not only full scales, but you're able to recur some resources thanks to these 2. But yeah, that's why Vanisher is good in my opinion. He's only a 1-up. He's kind of a brick when you open him up, but hey, that's what it is. And then we're going to get into the 1-ups. Metalfoes Counter. Metalfoes Counter is if a card you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect. So even if you can trigger this yourself to chain block and do some very good, interesting sequences to help you not get ashed, not get Veiler, Imperm, Gamma, or whatever. So some very interesting things you can do. Chain block pretty well with this, I'm not going to lie. You can special summon 1 Metalfoes monster from your deck. So you're always gonna, it used to be Volflame, but now it's Vanisher. Here's your target, and CC was special summoned by a Metalfoes card. You can banish a card from the opponent's graveyard or field. So yeah, counter is good. And then during either player's turn, except this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard to add 1 Metalfoes Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. So yeah, not bad. You don't really want to have to banish that until you have to, as long as it's the banishing part to add a Metalfoes Pendulum monster should be like the last resort thing you should do. You should try to recycle this with Mithrilium as much as possible. So yeah, and then we have 1 Metalfoes Fusion. Metalfoes Fusion is the new card that came out of Blazing Vortex, which lets you special summon 1 Metalfoes monster using monsters from your hand, field, or extra deck. So yeah, up to 1 of those each. So another fusion spell that was not much needed. It just added on another dimension. So it makes your extra deck much more, I guess, useful and much more what's the word I'm looking for? Much more versatile. So yeah, since your graveyard isn't always going to be set up sometimes. So yeah, and then Metalfoes Fusion, just good. Sky Striker was using this a while back, but its home is in this deck because you can just keep recurring it, recycling it. So with its graveyard effect, where you can just shuffle this card back into the deck to draw a card, helping you get that free discard fodder for your Super Poly. So 1 Metalfoes Fusion, really good. Then 1 combination, which is a really good card because some people just don't read the card. I mean, it says the effect is once per turn, if a fusion monster is fusion summoned, you can target 1 Metalfoes monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So if your opponent is also fusion summoning, like you run into the Invoked matchup or the Frightfur matchup or whatever it may be, because I did run into Frightfur a couple times, and then on top of that, you will probably run into Invoke something or Shaddoll Invoke something. So be mindful of that when you play this in real life, because you're able to bring back some of your fusions, like Mithrilium, Orichalc, Azaltros. You know, you're able to bring back some of them, Volflame, Gold Driver, etc. to help you go into some more plays. So yeah, pretty good card. And then when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, again, it's not a hard once per turn, you can add one Metalfoes monster from your deck to your hand. So pretty good. So even if it's left sent from the field, you're still plussing, which is really good. Which is why I really enjoy this deck for what it is. And then one full Metalfoes Fusion, really good card, helps you chain. Even if they don't evenly match, you can still chain. And if you have your Alkahest, if you have your Alkahest with an opponent's monster as material, you can chain respond to the EMS chain, activate full Metalfoes Fusion, fuse off with your 2 opponent's monsters, so hopefully you can go into another fusion outplay. So that's why full Metalfoes Fusion is just good. I have thought about bumping up to 2, but I don't have the second copy. I'll probably have to order that sooner rather than later. But I have thought about running to 2 because it is just a really good card, and I don't mind opening up with it because it helps me interact more with my opponent. Because this is a fusion version. This is a fusion, like mostly pure. This is a fusion variant of it. The fact that you can really get this going is really, really good sometimes. And then I like it. Quick effect, something that Metalfoes Fusion isn't, which is why I like it a little bit more sometimes. And then for the starter card, obviously is Rescue Rabbit, just a really good card. What can I say? When it doesn't get ashed, oh man, does it feel good? It just feels good. Gotta run it at 3, really optimal. And then we have Rescue Hamster. So Rescue Hamster is really good, level 4. Scale 5. You can even pendulum summon in some cases. You're able to bring out your monoliths. You're able to bring out your it's called your Volflames if you have a scale 8 on the other scale, and then you put this guy in, so you're able to pendulum summon 6 and 7, so which is not bad at all. You're able to pendulum summon some of your big boys, and then if you have a scale 1, you're able to still go 1, just able to go 2, 3, and 4. So very versatile. And then he's pretty much a rescue rabbit for pendulums, so really good. I mean, versatility is insane. I love Rescue Hamster. Sometimes I do want to bump it up to 2 because I just like him that much, even 3 in some days. But since it is at 41 right now, I wouldn't bump him up more than 1 because he's just so good. I mean, Rescue Hamster, he just comes to the rescue. What can I say? And then we run the Qliphort package because this package right here gives you an infinity. Gotta love that with Summoner's Art. Then Emergency Teleport as a starter / extender. And then same thing with Unexpected Die, starter / extender. So it's kind of like a third copy of this. And then Emergency Teleport also serves as a third copy of Painful Decision. You're a searcher, starter / extender. Very good. I mean, this ratio has been working out fine at 41. It feels great because we can deck trim easily anyway, so that 41 doesn't really matter to me sometimes. Yeah, really good package right here. Glad all these cards are cheap, and this whole deck is pretty cheap, so I do recommend people pick it up. And then if you want to throw some under the engines, go right ahead. A lot of ways to build it, but I'm just showing you my take on it. Super Poly variant, which is probably like one of the most funnest control ways to play it. And then 3 Summoner's Art, not once per turn, so if they ash the first one, hey, doesn't matter. Activate the second one, get yourself some advantage. And then 3 Super Poly, because a lot of Pendulum decks don't like to run hand traps. You don't want to run hand traps for the most part of some Pendulum decks. But Super Poly is kind of like the equalizer card that I really enjoy, because if I can't prevent the board, I want a card that can equalize it, that can make the game state equal. And Super Poly does a really good job of doing that. So yeah. And then since the fact that we can draw sometimes and search out what we need to help make that discard not even a problem, yeah, we got to run Super Poly. And then we have some great Super Poly targets in this deck. And now I want to go over the last tech choice card that I do throw in sometimes when I'm playing online, and that's Mystic Mine. I throw in 3 of them with 3 of them boys along with 1 terraforming, because you're playing a tier 3 deck and you don't have a lot of other engines in here, so this is kind of like your pretty much your equalizer. Again, like I said, your equalizer card. You want to be able to go up against some of the higher tier decks and give them a hard time, because sometimes they might not even have the out. So yeah, you go ahead and activate this, and then if they negate the first one, go ahead and activate Terraform and get the second one going. And yeah, in some cases this is not even a problem for you, because all your Metalfoes cards are MSTs themselves because of their effects. So you can just target your own Mystic Combine, pop it, and then go on from there. Because worst case scenario, if you do open this up and they make you go first or whatever, which is fine, you can always just summon Gold Driver, activate Mystic Mine, and then pass. And then if they don't have the out and they don't want to commit resources to put their board out or throw the cards on the field, that just sits there, and then they pass, and then you can pop it on the next turn whenever you're ready to, and then OTK them from there. So really interesting tech. That bumps it up to 45. That's if you want to run it. If not, then don't. I'm not saying you should, but I do it because I like it. It helps me play against some decks. And then yeah, since I don't have souls, this is what I'm running. Now we're gonna go into extra deck. We're gonna go start off with heavy Metalfoes Amalgam, yeah. We don't have Electromites. This is what we're running. Some people say it sucks, but when you do have the setup, you're able to pendulum summon 3. And then with pendulum decks, you don't want to have to pendulum summon until you absolutely have to. So I'm very mindful of that, and I try not to pendulum summon until I need to pendulum summon. If I can extend to a certain point, whether it be just with a normal summon, some fusions, then yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that until I need to pendulum summon. But he's here because he gives you three zones: the top zone, and then these 2 arrows that he's pointing to. Let's get into his monster effect. Once per turn, you can, if this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard by a card effect, you can activate one of these effects. Target one Metalfoes card you control, equip this card to it, and it gains 1,000 attack. Or you can target one other Metalfoes card you control, destroy it, special summon this card, and place it in the monster zone. Place it in the main monster zone. So you're able to set up, like I said, your 3 zones for pendulum summoning, and he's a good link too, and he counts as a Metalfoes monster. He's at 1, and it's all you really need is 1 anyways, in my opinion. Then we run 2 Alka-Heist. I mean, really good card. The thing that helps you control the game state, kind of your control monster of the deck, because it has to be fused and summoned, and then once per turn during your opponent's turn, you can quick effect target 1 effect monster to control, attach this card to it, and then it gains defense equal to its original attack. Not bad at all. And then when you're gonna do a fusion summon with this card, when you're gonna do a fusion summon for a Metalfoes monster, you can use monsters attached to it as material. So like I said, if you're not gonna pop them with your pendulum scales, you're gonna be fusing them off with it. So able to get rid of your opponent's resources, which is really good. And he's just a good little control card. It's not a hard once per turn. And then Mithrilium, I mean, she just helps you recycle your resources. Once you summon the first one, you recycle your first Mithrilium with your second Mithrilium, and then you go from there. Try to manage those resources the best you can, because this deck is all about managing resources. All it requires is 1 Metalfoes monster, 1 Pendulum monster. When this card is fusion summon, you can target 2 Metalfoes cards in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and then yeah, target 1 card on the field, return it back to the hand. So even in some cases, you're going to be returning your own scales. You're going to be returning some of your Metalfoes scales. You're going to be returning them from the pendulum scale to the hand to go ahead and bounce them back, and then use their soft once per turn effect of popping a card on the field to set a Metalfoes card. So sometimes that will happen, which is not bad. I mean, you want to be able to do that because this deck is so, like, I guess you gotta think sometimes, which is not bad, which is why I like it. And then when this card is sent when this card leaves the field, you can special summon 1 Metalfoes Pendulum monster from your graveyard or face up extra deck. So in some cases, if they do get rid of Azaltros or Calc, you're gonna be able to bring him back. So the grind game is possible with this deck. So 2 Mithrilium, and now we're gonna get into Azaltros. Azaltros is pretty good. Level 7, you know, you can pendulum summon him if you have the right scales. His scale effect's not bad, you know. If a Metalfoes card you control destroyed, set 3 damage step, you can target 1 face-up card on the field, destroy it. Not a bad scale effect, but his monster effect's a little bit better. It says, if this card is special summoned from the extra deck, shuffle 2 face-up pendulum monsters you control, and if you do, destroy that card. So you're going to be targeting 1 card you control to shuffle 2 pendulum cards from your extra deck back into the deck, helping you grind a little bit more and activate some of your Metalfoes cards to, like, counter, making them live again, etc., to grind even more. But you're also getting rid of boards too, which is not bad at all. And then if this card is destroyed in the monster zone, you can place it in the pendulum scale. So always going to be a problem for your opponent. Then we run Metalfoes Orichalc, level 8. All it requires is 2 Metalfoes monster. So when this card is fused summon, all Metalfoes monsters you control that attack a defensive monster inflict double piercing damage, helping you OTK pretty quickly. And then if they want to set the Apicalone defense, that's fine. You're going to be doing some piercing damage. It's cool. And then when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target one card on the field, destroy it, and that's not a hard once per turn. So if you're able to get this off multiple times, oh man, are you gonna be clearing some boards. Crimsonite, our super poly target, 1 Metalfoes monster plus two monsters with 3,000 militia attack. Really good card. The vanilla. Odd Eyes Vortex, because you do run him along with Mr. Odd Eyes Absolute. Mandatory to run it in this package, along with the other mandatory monsters, Nova and Infinity. Rank, the best rank 4 in the game. We're going with a bestseller because he's just that good. 1 gravity controller because it's very easy to link summon him, and then we're always pendulum summoning into the extra monster zone. So he lets us link it off into another free link arrow slash pendulum slash arrow to pendulum summon. But not only that, he's a good out to certain monsters like Boral Sword, Crusadia Mech Knight, Abramax, things like that. So you'd be surprised how often he can save me sometimes. And then to keep it budget, but because you do need a game ender, I'm going with Boral Sword. He is budget, like the gold is $5. Helps you OTK, helps you beat over your goons. Obviously Appaloosa should be in here because Nibiru is a problem for us, but Nova does take care of that problem, or sorry, Infinity does take care of that problem. So I decided to go with Boral Sword because he's just good, man. It's very easy to pendulum summon and get the bodies out we need to link them off. But that's right about it, guys. Metalfoes at the moment, how I'm running it, a super poly variant with a little bit of a spicy tech choice. But like I said, if you want to play a better version of it, all you got to do is spend a little bit of money, throw in the engines you feel you want to run, like the Despot or the, it's called the Mitch's Souls variant. You can even go with like a Supreme King Darkworm engine in there with a Chronograph Sorcerer engine, because Chronograph does go well with this deck. But I just decided to stick with Pure. I really like, this deck just offers a lot of interesting interactions, and then the more you play it, the more comfortable you get with it, and it's just a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of reprints that were needed, but on top of that, it's budget. Main reason I like it. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Brian representing Neo Overlay Network, signing out.